Good evening, everyone. Today is a sad day. Like you always already watch on the TV, the president, Joe Biden, just addressed the nation about the 12 American service member dead and 15 wounded among the score Afghan casualties. So there is a lot of people dying on our side, but also some Afghans, our friend and allies. This is a very, very sad day. I'm going to bring with me is my friend, a brother, and senior analyst on Game Show, Mr. Gustavo Ambella. Welcome back on the show, my friend.
Great to see you, even on this very sad day in Afghani and American history. I remain hopeful that peace, justice, and liberty will find its way in that corner of the world sometime soon.
Absolutely. So, without further ado, I think it's better for us to listen to the president. Earlier, like I just said, he gave a speech. He spoke to American people. So we're going to listen to him, and then we can come back to kind of make sense of what's going on.
A tough day. This evening in Kabul, as you all know, terrorists attacked that we've been talking about and worried about, that the intelligence community has assessed, has undertaken an attack by a group known as ISIS-K. Took the lives of American service members standing guard at the airport and wounded several others seriously. He had also wounded a number of civilians, and civilians were killed as well. I've been engaged all day in constant contact with the military commanders here in Washington, the Pentagon, as well as in Afghanistan and Doha. And my commanders here in Washington in the field have been on this with great detail, and you've had a chance to speak to some so far. The situation on the ground is still evolving and constantly being updated. These American service members who gave, it's over appropriate here, were heroes. Heroes who've been engaged in a dangerous, selfless mission to save the lives of others. They're a part of an airlift, an evacuation effort unlike any seen in history, with more than 100,000 last 12 hours or so, another 7,000 have gotten out. They're a part of the bravest, most capable, the most selfless military on the face of the earth. And they're part of simply what I call the backbone of America. They're the spine of America, the best the country has to offer. Jill and I, our hearts ache, like I'm sure all of you do as well, for all those Afghan families who lost loved ones, including small children, or been wounded in this vicious attack. And we're outraged as well as heartbroken. Being the father of an Army major who served for a year in Iraq, and before that was in Kosovo as a U.S. attorney for the better part of 6 months in the middle of a war. When he came home after a year in Iraq, was diagnosed, like many, many coming home, with an aggressive and lethal cancer of the brain, who we lost. We have some sense, like many of you do, what the families of these brave heroes are feeling today. You get this feeling like you're being sucked into a black hole in the middle of your chest. There's no way out. My heart aches for you. But I know this. We have a continuing obligation, a sacred obligation to all of you, the families of those heroes. That obligation is not temporary, it lasts forever. The lives we lost today were lives given in the service of liberty, the service of security, in the service of others, in the service of America. Like their fellow brothers and sisters in arms who died defending our vision and our values in the struggle against terrorism, of the fallen this day, they're part of a great and noble company of American heroes. To those who carried out this attack, as well as anyone who wishes America harm, know this: we will not forgive. We will not forget. We will hunt you down and make you pay. I will defend our interests and our people with every measure at my command. Over the past few weeks, I know many of you are probably tired of hearing me say it. We've been made aware by our intelligence community that the ISIS-K, an arch enemy, the Taliban, people who were freed when both those prisons were opened, has been planning a complex set of attacks on the United States personnel and others. This is why, from the outset, I've repeatedly said this mission was extraordinarily dangerous, and on why I've been so determined to limit the duration of this mission. As General McKenzie said, this is why our mission was designed, this is the way it was designed to operate under severe stress and attack. We've known that from the beginning. And as I've been in constant contact with our senior military leaders, and I mean constant, round the clock, and our commanders on the ground and throughout the day, they made it clear that we can and we must complete this mission, and we will. And that's what I've ordered them to do. We will not be deterred by terrorists. We will not let them stop our mission. We will continue the evacuation. I've also ordered my commanders to develop operational plans to strike ISIS-K assets, leadership, and facilities. We will respond with force and precision at our time, at the place we choose, in the moment of our choosing. Here's what you need to know. These ISIS terrorists will not win. We will rescue the Americans who are there. We will get our Afghan allies out, and our mission will go on. America will not be intimidated, and I have the utmost confidence in our brave service members who continue to execute this mission with courage and honor to save lives and get Americans, our partners, our Afghan allies out of Afghanistan. Every day when I talk to our commanders, I ask them what they need. What more do they need, if anything, to get the job done? As they will tell you, I granted every request. I reiterated to them today on 3 occasions that they should take the maximum steps necessary to protect our forces on the ground in Kabul. And I also want to thank the Secretary of Defense and the military leadership of the Pentagon and all the commanders in the field. There has been complete unanimity from every commander on the objectives of this mission and the best way to achieve those objectives. Those who have served through the ages have drawn inspiration from the book of Isaiah, when the Lord says, "Whom shall I send? Who shall go for us?" The American military has been answering for a long time. "Here I am, Lord, send me."
Here I am, Lord, send me. Those are, I mean, the speech is longer than that, but I think you capture the essential, the most important part. Talk to me, bro. Talk to me.
Yeah, these are among the most noble people that you will find on earth. servicemen and servicewomen, people who think beyond themselves, people who are willing to lay down their lives, and people who, when all the killing and the mayhem and the nation building goes on back in Afghanistan, they come back home and they're the guys that you'll see a giant that will never talk to you about it, the person you'll see at the gas station. And so when I see people like that, I tell them, thank you for your service and thank your family for sharing you with the world. It's an incredible thing when you see young people who, from small towns, whether it's Salem, Oregon, where I was raised, or Bakersfield, California, or Natchez, Mississippi, or Rochester, New York, or Gainesville, Florida, all these people from all walks of life, all types of persuasions, religious, sexual, ethnic, when there's a common mission and the tip of the spear is laced with poison, those are the people that I want around me in the bunker, whether in Kabul, Libreville, or Malabo.
Well, there was some strong, strong statement right there. And I believe the president is serious when he said, "Those who carry the attack, we will not forgive, and we will not forget, and we will, you know, make sure that we fight back." So, do you believe in those words? You think that the president mean what he say what he mean?
Just, my friend, as I told you, how I believe in the diabolical deeds, words, and actions of the Taliban and their various factions, and now ISIS K, which I'm going to think of as ISIS soon to be killed. I believe Joe Biden, who is a religious man, a forgiving man, when Joe Biden says he will not forgive, given his deep faith in Catholicism, that should send the chills up the spines of sand, because these guys were cowards, of every person responsible. And I can assure you, my beloved friend Malik, that the intelligence community that is on the ground and has never left Kabul more than likely knows who these folks are. And the next time they're sitting around eating whatever they eat, walking whatever they walk, praying to whomever they pray to, one day something's going to fall from the sky and land with great precision because they want to minimize collateral damage. And these folks will be blown beyond recognition, but more importantly, never ever thought of again, ever.
This might be a very personal to the president, because whenever the president mentions his dead son, he is talking from the bottom of his heart, and talking about the people, the intelligence on the ground. I just wanted later on maybe to play some another clip about Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. You already know what I'm talking about. So if the spin that is going on right now.
Sure.
So but at the same time, it looks like there is an assumption, an assumption that the Republican are the strongest when it comes to defending America military, not knowing that we are in Afghanistan in the first place because of a Republican president. So when they're always trying to portray the Democrats as being weak, or smooth, or whatever the terms they use, just to show that you know these people are not scared of us, or they was just waiting for a Democrat to a president to attack. I think that's just playing politics.
And
What you think?
it's a dangerous game, my friend, and a game where Lindsey Graham, who will go wherever way the political winds happen to blow each and every day. It's a shame when you see someone who at one time had a certain amount of political acumen and a certain amount of political calculus and a political reservoir. I think he has burned through all that and is now just in pure amoeba mode, going wherever ever he needs to go. And he should be ashamed of himself as a former judge advocate general. He knows what the president, his defense team, his intelligence team, he knows what they're up against. And so for Lindsey Graham, who unfortunately is still in office, like I told you about Donald Trump, I don't care what Lindsey Graham says. And as I told you about Donald Trump, rather than Lindsey Graham going and watch reruns of Good Times, maybe he should go back and watch reruns of Sanford and Son.
You know what? I'm gonna let you listen to some of his analysis, and of course, he was on the Fox News. So let's listen to it.
The estimates are 65 to 80,000 who helped us, and now they're stuck. And the Taliban is going door to door, knocking on the door, and if they find somebody they don't like, they just hang them.
Is that an accurate statement? You think at this point the Taliban already give America a deadline to evacuate? So you think at the same time they're going door to door and chop people's heads? Is that what's happening on the ground, or this is just
from people that I know out there? I believe that right now there's a bit of chaos, and I think that those offshoots. Now, remember, the Taliban is not a monolithic, I would say, political terrorism group. They have their offshoots, they have their rogue folks, they have their enemies, which ISIS-K and the Taliban, they're kind of sworn enemies, because the people in ISIS-K felt that the Taliban kind of sold out and they're hanging out in Dubai and going to meetings. So as weird as it sounds, there's a hierarchy in terrorism and a certain kind of competition, but you'll find that in human nature anyway. So with regard to Mr. Ducey, whose son was the last person that President Biden allowed to ask a question from Fox News, at some point, these guys are no longer really looked upon as journalists, but it's almost like carnival barkers, because they're whipping up the public. They're softballing questions to Lindsey Graham, who on any given day, he could tell you that the sky is blue, and then tomorrow someone tell you it's green. He goes, well, I'm not quite sure if it's exactly green. And so at some point, the politicians have become nauseating. They're not even governing anymore in Washington, D.C. It's more like a little fraternity and sorority where guys want to be popular. And I feel sorry for the American people. And in this case, I feel sorry for the Afghanis, because I hope that they realize that the American people are sympathetic to what's going on. And this is going to be a fight, not only to the death, but it's going to be a fight that both your daughters and my daughters, and perhaps their own daughters and sons, will have to still feel the remnants. But this is a sad day, but I'm also optimistic, and I know that the intelligence community and their partners, they are great, they're efficient, they're lethal, and they are invisible. They're real ghosts.
Absolutely. Okay, so let us listen to this guy again. It's amazing, you know. The Senator Lindsey Graham is a pretty interesting figure. You know, he's smart, but sometimes it's just a plain political player. You know, he understands the urgency, and I think if you really love this country, this is a time where you have to stand behind the president and support him, because guess what? If we have a victory, it's an American victory. It's not a Joe Biden victory.
I wonder what John McCain would think of this version of his friend Lindsey Graham. I know that Cindy McCain's had great things to say about him publicly, but there's something to be said. I like to think that I'm someone who's principled, loyal, honest, full of flaws, willing to admit my mistakes, and when push comes to shove, will resort to anything to protect the interest of those that I love and the country with which I'm willing to shed my blood for, either the United States of America, Equatorial Guinea, or in the case of my mother, who is Gabonese, Gabon.
We need you, man. We need you. Let's listen to these two gentlemen.
Yeah, so what to do about it? The French and the British are willing to send their forces inside of Afghanistan to extract the people who helped them and their citizens. We're duty-bound to get every American citizen out. We're honor-bound to get those Afghans who fought along our side out. And here's what I would say. If we leave any Americans behind, if we leave thousands of those Afghans who fought along our side behind bravely, Joe Biden deserves to be impeached for a higher crime and misdemeanor of dereliction of duty.
Okay, so is this Joe Biden's intention to leave the servicemen and men and women behind? I think from the get-go, the president was clear that, first of all, this mission is about bringing American home. I want the American people to listen to this to understand that from the beginning, it's always been bringing the American people back home safe.
And their Afghani allies.
And the allies.
And who helped in this mission. So although it is American-centric, they also know that the Americans realize that they could not have done what they did alone. So it's a expansive, narrowly tailored, but Lindsey Graham is just throwing bombs out there. He knows better.
He knows better. And especially since he was a good advisor to the President Trump, I just want to know what did Trump did, for this situation. He was there. He's the one who started this conversation and cut some deal with the Taliban. So all of a sudden now we're talking about leaving the American behind. I don't think that is what the president and the administration are doing.
And he was crystal clear, Malik. The president and his press secretary, his defense secretary spokesperson, or his defense spokesperson, all of the people are in alignment that the mission is to evacuate Americans. I think they said about 13,000. I think it's a figure still out there, and they are undertaking something they said has never been done in human history. This type of evacuation in human history.
Yeah, this is the largest airlift, in the history of humankind.
And so, what I've grown weary of at 53 years, and as someone who has been a student of politics, political science, the science of politics, is that somewhere along the line, people have changed the equation of service, vocation versus occupation to mean I'm going to say whatever I need to say.
You have to keep in mind, my friend, not to cut you off, that Washington is full of special interest.
Sure.
Special interest, the heavyweight that our politicians have on their shoulder. They're no longer, you and me, we study political science. This is not about political science. This is about, spinning, they're, the spin masters nowadays. And as long as you can make your opponent look bad, then, it's a good game. But I have to remind people, this is not a game. This is serious business. People are dying.
Did you see the video, Malik? Did you see the video of the bomb that went off? It was incredible that this person, and they're not sure if it's a male or female, and that's very important because you know how females in Afghani society, how they're viewed, but it's getting to the point to where there's an underground network of female suicide bombers who are going to these checkpoints knowing that Afghani men, because of religious nature, aren't allowed to touch Afghani women. And so you can see how the Taliban is even being a little bit more creative. This is a case where they're not misogynistic or sexist. They have a goal, and they're willing to let women further that goal, as diabolical as it sounds. But, for those people who are talking about impeachment, Lindsey Graham's been involved in impeachment since the days of Bill Clinton. I'm going to start calling him Lindsey Impeachment Graham, because it seems to me that when all is said and done, it's heard about putting up some charts, flow charts, and talking about who did what as opposed to governing. So, Lindsey, my advice is go back to South Carolina, have some crabs, get back, and crabs are very, very nice down there in South Carolina, and come back, have a new perspective, and quit throwing hyperbolic bombs and harpoons at American interest, because in the end, we all know it's a game, but this is a game with consequences. I would encourage anyone to Google the aftermath. It's a very graphic video, but these.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to play it on purpose because enough.
Very, very, very
I didn't play it out of respect for families, because to be honest with you, this should be the time. America is the greatest nation on earth so far, as far as I know. So we have to do things as if we know better. And when we lose our best men on the ground like that, I think it has to be a time where we just stop for a moment and say, you know what, this is a sad day, this is a bad day for us. Let's come together, and then after that we can play politics.
Yeah.
But it is sad to see that on a very day that we're supposed to be mourning and come together behind the president, you see the Lindsey Graham of this world in our politics continue to keep on pounding on politics as usual. So let's continue to listen to him, my friend. And I know you wanted to say something. I'll give you another chance to listen to him, and then maybe you can have more.
If we leave one American behind, if we don't get all those Afghans who stepped up to the plate to help us out, then Joe Biden, in my view, has committed a high crime and misdemeanor under the Constitution and should be impeached.
Well, Senator, you've heard Joe Biden. He's had some whoppers in the last couple of days. When he was talking to George Stephanopoulos, he said, and nobody said we should keep 2,500 troops over there. But according to the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post, his top leaders said, leave a residual force. And
okay. Your thought, leave residuals of force there. So the Republican, actually what that they really want is what is sense of okay, we're gone, but we're still there. Is that the kind of deal the President Trump did with the Taliban? I don't understand what's going on.
Like I say, first of all, let's be very clear. The Republicans are rooting for Joe Biden to fail. And if Joe Biden, so in essence, if Joe Biden, who is the American president for everyone, if the Republican Party is rooting for the American president to fail, I don't think it's too far to deduce that the Lindsey Grahams of the world are rooting for America to fail. Because anywhere in the world where you see Joe Biden, he is the embodiment of the American people, all 350 million or whatever the latest census of all stripes. And so for us, we need to start holding these people accountable as almost being anti-American. Let's just be real. Because you're criticizing a president on foreign policy.
Yeah.
And fortunately, he's not in Kabul doing it. I can't question what's in Lindsey Graham's heart, as dark as it might be, but I can't say that his music and words are never in unison. And like many other politicians, these folks are just using these as opportunities to raise money among their fan base and hopefully trying to be the resurrection of Donald Trump, who we know is not going to become president ever again. And so this is real. This is just political theater with serious consequences. And the actors are bad actors. And by that, I mean the Taliban, ISIS-K, and those people with whom the American troops relied upon. Some people are saying that maybe the Afghanis knew about this. They maybe backed off. I think it's too early in the investigation. All I know is that the mission is to get and evacuate as many Americans as possible, as well as the Afghani allies. And then, meanwhile, on the parallel track, hunting, disrupting, and killing every single terrorist involved in this until each and every one of them is no longer walking on the face of this earth. And I'm completely confident that the intelligence community and their wide array of techniques of tracking people down, just like they found out Osama bin Laden, they'll find these low-rent terrorists in some cave, or perhaps in some home, or perhaps sleeping somewhere, thinking that they're safe, not knowing that there are eyes in the sky and a lot of eyes on the ground waiting for them to strike. These guys are cobras and vipers, and as you know, cobras and vipers.
Let back up. Let back up a little bit, because I know we might disagree with the Republicans sometimes, but I wanted to back up a little bit with that residual suggestion, having a residual military personnel on the ground. Is that the kind of deal? Because I want you to keep in perspective this deal of pulling the American people out of Afghanistan was done previously by the former president, by Trump, President Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yep.
And he kind of made it clear to them, like, listen, I'm going to pull out, but you should never attack the military, because let's keep in mind this situation. It doesn't matter when. It was just a matter of when it's going to happen.
Yes.
After a while, in any situation, even if you will wait another 10 or 20 more years, anytime you're going to say to the enemy, we're going to pull out, there will be some attack.
Yes.
That's the reality. So the previous president was not courageous enough to do that. Mm-hmm. So we have to give credit to Joe Biden for now, because it's messy. Everybody's pointing fingers. Mm-hmm. But just keep in mind that the president before him knew exactly this situation and didn't shy away from it. So
and I think it's important to note also that Peter Doocy of Fox News, when he asked about responsibility, that Joe Biden said he accepted responsibility.
Absolutely.
What politicians do you know, whether a city council, the county dog catcher, the congressman senator, he knew that the buck stopped with him, and he knows that this is going to be a long fight, and it's better for people to say, hey, listen, whatever happens that's good and bad, I, as president of the United States, duly elected by the American people, both Republican, Democrats, Independent, and whatever, I realize that my decisions have long-term consequences, and I'm cool with that.
Yeah. That's what Commander Chief does. Whenever it's good, it's good. It's bad, it's good. But you make a decision, and then you have to live with it. But I believe it did the right thing. I keep believe it did the right thing. He was courageous enough to go forward and do it, because it makes no sense for us to continue stay in a country like Occupy forces, and we have to determine our mission there. What was the mission after we killed Osama bin Laden? What was the reason why we have to stay there and spend treasure and blood, for another 20 years?
You should ask companies like Halliburton and Blackwater what they felt their mission was when they were out there in Afghanistan. Halliburton, is Dick Cheney, and Blackwater's, which then became Z, and now another company by Eric Prince, whose sister Betsy DeVos was a former Secretary of Education. And to me, let's just say that I don't think the Secretary.
I still believe that the moment we kill Osama bin Laden, I think that was the right time to just
exactly.
leave.
It was, and I agree. So there's so much emotionalism surrounding that, and who really knows the real reason behind it? But he was long gone, and I'm sure right now that if he were alive right now, he would be very, very happy. But the reality right now is we have Americans out there. They need to be evacuated safely. They need to be, and the Afghani allies need to be in a country, a third-party country, where they can be processed expeditiously. And I call upon the U.S. Congress and the Senate and the President to sign whatever bill, special emergency bill that needs to be signed to help expedite with the Customs and Immigration Service, any entity of the U.S. government that is involved in the bureaucratic processing of Afghanis who are fortunate enough to have survived getting out of Kabul, and particularly Kabul airport. I hope that the empathy factor within the Republicans will kick in, because we know where the Democrats stand.
So I might bring it to a new angle of this situation. You know that the president himself said that the attack is clearly the ISIS-K. So now it looks to me, it looks like we have two situations here, because the Taliban, we have to really make it clear that the Taliban is not, and you said that from the start, that there's even the Taliban is not just a monolithic group, and ISIS-K is completely a different groups that believe that the Taliban are not strong enough. They don't apply the Sharia the strongest way. So now we have two situations, two groups that have different beliefs, and chances are ISIS-K completely disagree with the way the Taliban, rule the affairs. Okay, so my question to you is that, is this going to force the Taliban to kind of negotiate, or, because they say the enemy of my enemy is my friend. In this case, ISIS-K is the enemy of the United States. Do you think it's going to bring us to a situation where America will be more likely to deal with the Taliban?
I think when CIA Director William Burns went out there a few days ago to meet with Taliban hierarchy, I think this was an anticipation of him knowing, because these guys know a lot in advance, that something like this was going to happen. And I think that Mr. Burns did his best to try to interrupt that process. I'm sure the Taliban said, hey, listen, we're not going to be a part of anything. But also, this is great public relations. Who heard of ISIS-K before today? So think about it. So this is public relations 101. As they say in public relations, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Now, apparently, a whole lot of people know who ISIS-K is, but I feel sorry for that, because sometimes knowledge is power. But in this case, the knowledge of ISIS-K in existence will probably lead to their deaths.
So my friend, when the president said in his speech, when he said that we will not let them stop our mission, is this ISIS-K is talking about, or the Taliban? Because my second question will be, what interest does what is the ISIS-K or the Taliban? What interest they have to stop this mission? I'm trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, I think
who's trying to stop this mission?
Well, far be it from me to get inside the strategic planning and the warehousing of the information of either ISIS-K or the Taliban, but looking at it from a political strategist position, I think that ISIS-K is trying to capitalize upon this, realizing, of course, remember that September 11th is on the horizon. So maybe what they're saying at one level, Malik, is that, hey guys, look at what we're doing right now. Can you imagine what we're going to do on September 4th, September 7th, September 9th, September 11th? So this could be just a prelude. The Taliban, I think, are doing their best to distance themselves. No one wants to take ownership of what happened, at least publicly. You hear about people, because they know that folks who do this kind of stuff end up looking like a Muammar Gaddafi or a Uday Hussein. And so no one wants.
So this attack today, you think the attack today also shows that the Taliban don't have if ever that meeting took place with the intelligence, our intelligence, and then the Taliban, if they, you know, if there was maybe some agreement going on.
I think there's something.
So
Yeah, I believe
yeah,
so.
but the fact that there's this situation, the crisis, the bombing, people dying, and we are, you know clearly this is an ISIS escape.
Mhm.
Is this telling you that even the Taliban don't have a hold on ISIS K? It look like they this is a also a threat for them.
Yep.
What you think?
I think that the bulls are out of the pens and they're wreaking havoc throughout the China shop. And I think that people are trying to corral others, but people are also using it for their advantage. ISIS K is doing that, knowing that most people will think of Taliban, 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 right? They'll think that they're trying to pin the terroristic tail on the donkey, which is the Taliban. ISIS knows. Remember, these guys are very sophisticated, Malik. They watch all these networks globally. They know what political pressure points, and even the fact that they did this before the August 31st deadline shows you that these guys are basically saying all deals are off. Who knows what the Taliban negotiated with Director Burns or others? Who knows who? Because the ISIS-K is a much more diffuse entity. They're not a real concentrated, organized, and it's very difficult when you don't have a kind of a base of operations to go after these people. But I can assure you, between satellite imagery,
Yeah,
signals,
international relation. They call the non-state actors, and
yes,
these are very difficult people to deal with.
yes,
Because
they are.
at least we know the Taliban, we can negotiate with them, and we understand their demands. But as far as the ISIS K is concerned, I don't know if we even know what they want. Do
Uh,
you?
I think they want to spread chaos, mayhem, and they have held on to 20 years of what they perceived was an illegal occupation. And if you're to harbor that kind of vengeance and someone did something wrong to you and you hold on for 20 years, God only knows what can happen to innocent people.
Absolutely, man. Listen, that was a great time again. To see you. It's always a pleasure to go through those issues and enjoy your analysis on the issues. I don't know if you have something to say before we
I,
finish. We yeah.
I want to thank GAN TV and Malik for all that they're doing. This is a great public service. It's unfortunate that sometimes all the media platforms, people get lost, but please do not lose the number of GAN TV. Do not lose Malik. He's doing some great things, and with great humility, he's out there getting his hustle on and doing so in a way with dignity, class, and efficiency. And he knows with me that he'll always have a loyal person in that bunker hole if people are throwing spears, as people often say that people in Africa throw spears. So you can count on me being there in the bunker when the spears start flying. Because as you know, help
Is
is
on
on the
way.
way.
All right, my friend. Listen, great show. It was nice to see you again.
Likewise.
It was a pleasure, and I know I hope our viewers enjoy the conversation, and we soon probably gonna put a number if they wanna call us to ask question directly. We're
Yep.
probably gonna do that. But again, you are absolutely right. We need everybody's support,
And we
and
value our listeners. We value,
uh,
even when we don't see you, we value, we respect you, we respect your opinions. Don't be shy. We're here, we're all in this together. But more importantly, people need to realize in the end, it's all about global analysis, but in some cases, it's Africa for Africans.
Absolutely. All right, my friend. We're gonna we're gonna leave that right there. All right, guys. That was our show for today. Mr. Gustavo Vela, our senior analyst. It was always a pleasure to see you. And for those who are listening or watching outside the United States, thank you for tuning in. And we are looking forward to bring you some more development on this crisis. So again, thank you so much, and we will speak with you another time.